friends. Welcome back to the Avidknits podcast. My name is Sarah, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, both as Avidknits. Today is Friday, June 26th, I think. And it is cloudy and rainy and stormy in Houston, Texas today. Unfortunately, it's not very cool, so it's humid and hot and cloudy and rainy. And really hazy. I think that the Saharan air, what is that called? The air layer, SAL or something. Anyway, it is a bunch of dirt from the Saharan desert in Africa that got picked up and shifted across the Atlantic Ocean and up the Gulf and right on top of my city, which is good for hurricane season. It dampens down hurricane activity, so it usually keeps your season pretty mild, but it's not super pleasant to look at and not very great to be out in. But, hey, masks are mandatory in Houston right now, so, you solved a problem. So not only are you being protected from COVID, but you're also keeping sand out of your lungs, so that's good stuff. Yeah. How's your week been? It's been a long couple of weeks. I didn't podcast last week because my normal podcasting day is either Thursday or Friday, and it fell on Juneteenth, and I just didn't feel comfortable with podcasting on that day. I figured that my platform would be better employed amplifying Black voices as opposed to amplifying my own frustrations over everything that is going on in this country. I will put a link down below. I would very, very much appreciate if all of you would pause right here, click on the link down below, and demand justice for Breonna Taylor, because it's been months and nobody has been charged. Or I think that the officers involved in her killing, I think they're finally fired, maybe? Absolutely nothing has been done. And there have been several atrocities that have occurred since. And fortunately, the majority of those seem to have been addressed, prosecuted. There's forward motion happening, but for some reason, Breonna's is just being swept under the rug and completely ignored. So I would very much appreciate if you would pause me right now and if you would click on that link and please go do that. I am really sorry for all of the yard noise, but we live in a suburb, and apparently Friday... It's usually Tuesday. I don't know why Friday has become the yard work day, but I can't wait to do this anymore. I kind of have things to do today. So we're just going to have to deal, so I'm really sorry for that. Eagle-eyed among you might have noticed my new t-shirt. This is the Stand in the Gap t-shirt from Gigi Made It. I think she's still selling. I highly recommend that you go get one. I got the extra large in the female... women's, I don't remember if it's the loose fit or not. I'll look it up, and if I can remember, I'll put it right here on the screen. I got the extra large. It is fine. It's a little tighter than I thought it would be, according to what the size chart was, or what it said on there. It's not a big deal. It's fine. But just if you like a really, really flowy loose shirt, you might want to look at either the men's or a different style. Yeah. So, for those of you who don't know what Stand in the Gap is, it is a turn of phrase that was coined by Gigi, who is Gaye Glasspie. She has an Instagram account and was a former teacher for equity and racial equality I believe in the workplace. But she lives in New Jersey with her daughter Shelby, who has a book club. You should look at that. That's linked down below. Everything from these ladies is linked down below. Anyway, but it was a phrase that was coined by her to help explain exactly the basics of good allyship, I guess. Basically stand in the gap. There's a giant gap between white vendors and Black vendors. And when you go to a yarn festival, for instance, you shouldn't only see white faces. You should demand to see Black faces as well. Standing in the gap is calling out your relatives when they say something rude or racist or make a joke that's not funny. Standing in the gap is using your platform to amplify the voices of those around you who are not being heard as loudly, or You know, it can be anything. It can be donating. It can be any type of activity, educating yourself. Stand in that gap so that the person who is already marginalized is not responsible for correcting a situation that they're never going to be able to correct. You know, white supremacy and racism in this country is perpetuated by white folks. So we as white folks have a responsibility to curb it in our own homes and in our own circles, because that's where the problems are. And you know, racism is not born, it's taught, and it's taught very subtly, which is why nobody realizes that they're learning it. It's a very insidious thing. So anyway, so that's that. My candle is the Dragon Rage scent from Dragon Horde Yarn. It is evergreen and smoke, and I am absolutely in love. Let's see what else. You'll see from some intro footage that I bought a couple of plants. Well, my husband bought a tree. I bought a plant. And yeah, so... Oh, and I went to... I picked up a piece of furniture from IKEA. It is a drafting table leg, and it is called the Finvard, and it makes a really perfect Swift and winder setup. And I learned that from Britt, who was my boss at Ewan Brew in Idaho, which is a yarn shop that I used to work for. So I've kind of wanted one ever since I started knitting, and I just keep meaning to buy it, and we just never do it. So finally I ordered it, and I went and got it. Yeah, I think that's about it on the life front. I'm sure that as soon as I stop recording, I'll think of a million things I was supposed to talk to you about. So I'm not wearing any knitwear today. It's pretty warm and humid, and I wanted to show off my new Gigi Made It shirt. So I'm trying to think if I had an opportunity to show off my lace hem tee. You know, I actually don't think that I did. So hold on a second. I'm going to go change. I'll be right back. Okay. I don't think you've had a chance to see this yet. This is my lace hem tee. It is a pattern by Carina Spencer. It has a lace hem, hence the name. I knit mine out of Lola Bean Yarn Company in the Bean Sprout base, which is an 80/20. This is the Georgia Peach colorway. The contrast color is Wonderland yarns in the Cheshire Cat base, in Cabbages and Kings. So, let's see. I lengthened it a little bit because I wanted a crop, but basically where it had you stop was like kind of like a boob shelf, and that was a little bit shorter than what I wanted for my style. And then I obviously didn't knit any sleeves. There are sleeves on it if you would like to do that. It comes written for it. I have nothing bad to say about the pattern. I follow the pattern pretty exactly. I did try bust darts for the first time, and I'm not sure how successful I was. I feel like I was semi-successful. But I definitely need some practice on that one. But I love the way it fits. It's really super drapey and light and soft and everything that I wanted in a summer top. And honestly, it's fine in the summer. I don't know. Houston people don't stand outside in the sun. Like when it's hot, we go in the air conditioning. So it's perfect for over air conditioned office spaces or homes even. Like I get chilly in the house sometimes, you know. It's just you're cold all the time. So sometimes it's nice having that extra layer. But wool is temperature regulating, so I don't get hot. It's great. I love it. It's I would probably make another one. I will definitely make another shirt in the same style. So that is my other finished object, I guess. And if I think of it, I'll put pictures here or something of me so you can actually see the way that it sits. I don't have any of those, but I figure if I tell you about it, then whenever I'm editing, I'll feel bad, and then I'll take that video. And then I'll have pictures. Yeah, so I guess that kind of leads us into works in progress. And you guys, I have a lot. For anybody who's been following for a while, hi if you're new. If anybody who's been following for a while, you'll know that I'm pretty monogamous typically. I guess because I sample knit especially, it's just easier to get one off the needles. I usually have about 2 samples a month going, so it's usually pretty important to get one off the needle so you can get done with the other one and get the new one in. But because of COVID, everybody's kind of holding their breath right now, so my sample knitting has slowed down, which is fine. It's leaving me a lot of time for personal knitting, which is something that I didn't have very much of last year. So yeah, so I am, while chatting to you, I'm knitting on a pair of socks. I've come to the conclusion that I don't enjoy sitting here just staring at a camera and trying to come up with things to say. My thoughts don't flow as naturally as they would normally, and so then it makes me feel really awkward when I'm editing. So we're going to try this out and see how it goes. So if there's a little bit less eye contact with the camera, I apologize. I don't know. When I'm watching podcasts, I'm not usually sitting here to see if you're looking at me. You know, I'm usually knitting, and I kind of look up, and I treat it as a conversation with a friend. I probably wouldn't stare at you the entire time you were talking, unless it was something really important. So usually for the anti-racism and education sections of podcasts, now these days, I usually pay a lot of attention to those. Also, I will link I don't know if it's on YouTube. I know it's on IGTV. I know it's on Instagram TV, but I'll link it below. But it's called Uncomfortable Conversations with a Black Man. And it's Emmanuel Acho. I believe it's Acho. I'll put his name here. And he is a former NFL player, and he has basically volunteered to give his time to sit down with white people and let them ask the questions that they don't want to ask anybody in their family or their life, that they don't have anybody black in their life, or they don't want to bother their black friends. So anyway, I really recommend that. That's been really educational and really interesting, and his delivery is really great. So if it's a conversation that you're nervous having, or you don't really know where to start, I feel like that's a really, really great place, because it's a very open forum, and he just talks and helps explain why things are offensive, or why how whites benefit over blacks. He gives a black point of view to the conversation that's going on right now that is easily accessible to everybody, and he doesn't make it feel like stereo instructions or a college lecture. So I would try that if I were you. Yes, anyway. I'm full of tangents today. I'm sorry, I have a lot going on in my head right now, and being locked up in the house has been not... Obviously, for everybody, it's been a troubling time for everybody. You know, I really tend to thrive when I'm busy, and I'm doing my level best to keep myself busy, but you know how that goes. It's not always possible. So, if I'm a little flustered, that's why. So, works in progress. I am knitting on socks. This is Nomadic Yarns in the Trusty Sock Base. Twisty Sock Base, one of them two, I don't know. And the colorway is called Defense Against the Dark Arts. I do know that Ashley is renaming a bunch of her Harry Potter colorways. She has over 50. So I'm hoping that she's going to just rename them. So far, it seems to be the path she's going to take, as opposed to not dyeing them anymore, but I'm not positive that she'll keep all of them. So, you know, which would be sad. She has some really beautiful colors, you know, and it's sad that J.K. Rowling can't keep her mouth shut. No, it's not sad she can't keep her mouth shut. It's sad she can't be a decent human being long enough for people to continue to support this magnificent thing that she contributed to culture. You know, Harry Potter is a very big deal, and it's something that a lot of people grew up with, you know, and it opened their minds to other lives and possibilities, and it spoke a lot of words about equity and inclusion, and she doesn't seem to be holding up with it. Maybe she should read her books. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just knitting like kind of a modified Rose City roller. I modify the heel. I think my heel flap's a little bit shorter. I don't really remember. This is my go-to sock recipe. So my go-to sock recipe is 64 stitches on a size 0 needle. Don't at me. I know I have a lot of friends that do 64 stitches on twos. I do 72 stitches on twos or ones, and y'all are crazy. Anyway, 64 stitches on a size 0 needle. When I get past the heel flap and the gusset, I go down to, because you have 32 stitches on each side, I go down to 30 on the base of the foot because I find that I like just a little bit more stretch over the top of my arch. And that's not for comfort reasons, that's just because I can see the stitches pulling apart, and it makes me feel that the fabric is being stressed a little bit more than I want it to, because I want these to last. I wear my socks a lot, so here we go. I'm really enjoying them. They're a lot of fun. It's a beautiful base and it's really pretty colors, so I'm really having a good time with this. Other works in progress that I have, let's see, I changed needle sizes on my husband's Redford sweater, which is the black sweater in the Brooklyn Tweed loft. I'm not going to show it. I undid it down to the ribbing, changed needle sizes, and reknit the body. Because I would knit with superwash a lot, I tend to knit really fast, and I tend to knit a little bit loose. Woolen spun forces me to knit in a bit of a different style, and in the beginning I tend to be a lot looser with it, so I have to remind myself to tighten down my gauge or to actually gauge to my needles, which is a bad habit that I have anyway. I'm working on it. So again, a little bonus lining to COVID and quarantine and not having a lot of samples going on right now. So, yeah. Before we go any farther, within the next podcast or two, you should see me start the sweater of choice for the winner of the sweater raffle with Hohi Locatelli and Julie O Sweet Sparrow yarns. The winner's name is Elise, and she has chosen the Quiet Stars cardigan by Hohi Locatelli, and I will show you the yarn and the beginnings of that hopefully next podcast. That should be on its way. Speaking of sweater raffles, though, we have sweater raffle number 2 going on right now. I have extended the date until the 1st of July. I will draw a winner on the 1st or the 2nd. Depends, whatever day it is. We'll figure it out. So you have until then. Links are down below for how to enter and all the details. Tickets are $3 a piece. You can enter, or you can buy as many tickets as you want. Each one is its own separate chance. The ways to get your money in are down in the down bar, and I will message you back with your ticket number so that you have confirmation from me. Yeah. Oh, sorry guys. The funds that are raised this time will be donated to True Colors United, and True Colors United is an organization that helps combat homelessness in LGBTQ plus youth. Unfortunately, still in this day and age, we have a lot of our youth who, when they come out, are disowned from their families or kicked out of their homes or don't have anywhere to turn or anywhere to go when they need help or they are struggling. And True Colors really helps them find themselves and who they would like to be, and then also helps put them on the path for stability and success so that they can move on with their lives and reduces the rates of homelessness, because LGBTQ youth are 2.5 times more likely to experience homelessness than their non-LGBTQ counterparts. So it's a really great charity. I'm really excited to be able to raise money for it so that we can donate to that. My designer that I am featuring this time is Jamie Hoffman of Knitosophy. You'll know Jamie. I did her swallowtail sweater earlier this year. It was the one with the butterfly across the chest. She has beautiful designs and she's an absolute doll. She will be donating whatever sweater the winner chooses, the yardage for that sweater and size. She'll take that yardage and she will multiply that yardage and donate the equivalent of a sweater sample, basically, which is 20 cents a yard. So she will, instead of, quote, paying me for the sample that I knit her, since I'm knitting it for charity, she will just take the money she would have paid to have that sample knit and she will donate it to the same charity for us. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, drop me a question down in the comments and I'll try to clear that up. That's a really convoluted way of saying she's going to donate money on top of what we raise. Yarn is very generously being donated by Kemper Wray of Junkyarn, so I'm super excited about that. That's going to be a really great combination. Kemper has wonderful colors. And I will not be knitting it this time. I was contacted during the last raffle by a group of sample knitters, and I had a lady here in Austin volunteer to knit this sweater. And her name is Alicia, and she will be doing it for me. So thanks so much, Alicia. I really appreciate your help. So yeah, you have until July 1st to enter. So get your tickets in, and we will get you hooked up with a custom sweater of your choice. Let's see. Works in progress. Stuff I'm muddling through on. Okay, guys, I am usually a very monogamous knitter, as we just spoke, and then I totally dropped that thought and went on about something else because welcome to Conversations with Sarah. And I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things on the needles, maybe. I have 1 that I'm working on, and then 5 that are being ignored, like you do. So I have the Redford that I talked about for my husband, and that's in Brooklyn Tweed Loft. I have a Bronwyn for myself in Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. Both of those are hibernating. They're just hanging out. I really do need to get on them. I want both of those objects. I am not a very good planner. I am definitely an in-the-moment knitter, so I knit what I want for right then, but I don't knit for planning. I should be knitting fall stuff right now because then I will have it ready, but ultimately I kind of want to knit those things that I want to wear when I want to wear them, which is absolutely illogical, but you know, here we are. So, anyway, those are both hibernating. Now, I have 2 colorwork sweaters and a t-shirt, all on the needles right now, that I will talk about. So my first one is an oldie, and we've gone over it a few times, but this is my test knit for Meghan Regan of Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits, Bad Wolf Girl Studios. Her Instagram is Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits. And she did a compilation of House Pride sweaters for Harry Potter. We've talked about my feelings on Harry Potter and on this sweater in particular, and we're just going to let it go at that. The sweater itself is wonderful. The houses, okay, so you buy the PDF for a sock weight or a DK weight, and it comes with all 4 house charts, or the charts for all 4 houses, excuse me. So this is the Slytherin chart. Now, let's say you don't like the Death's Head, or you didn't want the keys. Well, that's fine, because at the end of the pattern, she gives you a bunch of options, and she tells you, for chart 1, you can use this, or this, and you can mix and match and slip and swap. And I have to tell you, honestly, guys, there are 5 charts in each sweater. You're going to get 25 to 30 different charts and be able to mix and match any sweater you want. She also does one called Hogwarts: A History, and she does a Halloween one, and she has tons of patterns. Her patterns are written very well. They're super simple to follow. They're very straightforward. They're a lot of fun. Her motifs are really cute. I really recommend it. Even if you're not a Harry Potter fan, like I said, she's got other holidays and other charts that you can mix and match just as easily. So I need sleeves. That's all I'm missing is sleeves. I made it semi-cropped. So I finished my snakes, which turned out really great. You know, I was a little, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I was a little on the color choices. I really was. I thought that the gray would be a little bit darker, and then the green I thought would be more tonal. But I'm actually really happy with it. It turned out really nice. The bottom has not been blocked yet, so I blocked down to the separation, but then I didn't block for the bottom yet. So anyway, those are my snakes. I super love it. It's a really nice sweater. I'm going to do probably 3/4 sleeves on it, so I'll pick up for those. And that's all I have to do, guys. I just have some sweater or some sleeves to knit and some lines on the bottom to do before the ribbing, and then I'm done. Am I doing that? Do you know how long that'll take me, guys? That'll take me like a day. If I would just sit down and knit for a day, I could have this done. Am I doing that? Of course I'm not doing that. Like, who are you watching? You know better than that. I'm not doing that. So that's been sitting here for like 10 days. I finished that very shortly after I podcast last time, and then I just let it sit here. And instead of finishing that, we'll leave that one for a minute. I started this thing. This is all kinds of modified. This is going to be someday when it's not a tube. Okay, so it's got these little thingies here. Sorry guys, and this is terrible. Okay, so it's got these little thingies here, and then it comes into your neck. So this will go around your shoulders and come here, and I will knit another one pretty much exactly the same that will do the exact same on the front. So since it's going to be the same, we'll just talk about it like this. This is my Cullum t-shirt. Okay, this is by, it was written for Quince Co. I don't remember the designer. I'll put it here. It was written for Quince Co. Sparrow, which is a linen. Now, I don't love linen. I don't like knitting with it. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my go-to, and I had this in stash, so I did it out of wool. It's just a really pretty lace motif all along the top. Now, when I was knitting, I decided not to read ahead in the pattern because I thought, surely I know what I'm doing. Like, I know the gauge. I know the needle size I need for that gauge. I've used this yarn before. I'm good. I can just start. It's going to be great. And yarn I'm using is Farmer's Daughter Fibers in the Squish Fingering Base. This colorway is called I Don't Think Hank Done It That Way, which is a line from a song. If you don't know that, I will, if I can remember, I'll put it down below. All the things you will find down below. Any kind of obscure reference I make is probably linked. Anyway, so the Cullum Tee has this really pretty lace thing here, and then on the bottom of the t-shirt, it's knit in pieces. Well, I didn't read ahead, so I'm sitting here knitting the back. Okay, so I totally didn't drop my phone and cut off my video and then record the ending of this and then realize that it didn't record because I turned it off. That didn't happen. That wasn't me. That's not professional. Welcome to it, guys. All right. So I was talking about the Cullum Tee, which is here. And so, like I was saying, I didn't read the pattern and I didn't realize that the back was knit. I didn't read ahead in the pattern and I didn't realize that the back was knit plain. So basically, I'm just going to knit two fronts. So this will sit on my shoulders like this and come down in the front like that, and then it'll have the same thing on the back. So I have lace on the front and the backs of the shoulders and on the front and the back of the bottom, and yeah, so I will be knit top down, and then after the armholes you'll join in the round, and I'll be able to implement all of those changes. I'm going to put some waist shaping in this. It's supposed to just be a straight line shape, a straight shape, but I have a relatively long torso and an hourglass shape, and I kind of like to accent that in some of my summer wear. So I will be adding that in, and you'll see that as it comes along. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I only had one more work in progress after that. So the last thing that I'm working on, I started yesterday at around lunch, and I'm 3/4 of the way through the yoke because I'm ridiculous. In March or April, I purchased the Gothic Colorway of the Month Club from Lambstrings Yarn, who is Shanna, and I got this gorgeousness in return. This is called the Plague Doctor, and it is a beautiful smoky gray with bits of black and copper and yellow and orange. There's purples in here. There's tiny bits of like chartreuse every now and then. This is a phenomenal colorway. And I liked it so much that I instantly emailed Shanna to tell her how gorgeous it was. And she said that if I wanted more, she would dye it for me. So I did that, and I got 2 more skeins. So 3 skeins of this. And then this is from Julie of Sweet Sparrow. This is her Celtic Club colorway Mabon. So this is a Mabon, I believe, is for May. I believe Mabon and Mayday are the same thing. So it's this really beautiful, like light gold color with red speckles. There's a little bit of purple in it. Some oranges. It's really pretty, and it very much matches. Let's see if I have a little bit of it in here on this skein. No, I don't really. Anyway, it coordinates very well with the gold, the golds that are in the Lambstrings yarn. So I am knitting the Siren, which is a pattern by This Bird Knits. Sorry. My needles are not quite big enough for the yoke, so I'm having to get creative. So this is my yoke so far. I have some wings as my progress keeper there. I am knitting the extra small, which is a 41.5. The yarn is really stretchy and my needles are small, so it should come out perfectly. Like, I'm not concerned about that. I want it to be fitted, so this will be fine. And yeah, so like I said, I'm 3/4 of the way through the yoke. I think this is like the final chart that comes here, and then I'll knit a little bit plain, I think, and then I think you separate, and there might be a chart underneath the separation. I don't really know. Okay, I just really wanted to knit it. And I'm loving it. I did not want to put it down. Like, so I had to force myself to put it down so that I could talk to you. So yeah, I'm absolutely adoring it. It's great and it's flying. So this is right up my alley. Like, I enjoyed the summer colors and the tops and stuff, but if I'm to be absolutely brutally honest, this is what I'm after. Like, I love a good dark color. I love a good tonal yarn. Yeah, so I'm having a lot of fun with it, and you'll see it soon. Hopefully it'll be done shortly. So yeah. Let's see. I talked about works in progress. I talked about my finished object. I talked about sweater raffle, anti-racism. If you find that you are getting overwhelmed and your brain is kind of going a million miles an hour and you need to maybe brain dump a little bit, or just put something on so that your brain can finish processing in the background without you having to really be too involved. I find that I need that a lot. I have been watching Vlogmases from like the past 4 years. I've been watching Vlogmas, and it's a nice way to get some fluff and kind of decompress just a little bit, and ready yourself for the next round. Pace yourselves. This is not a sprint, okay? Racism and systemic change, this is going to take a really long time, and it's so wonderful that it's finally occurring now, and that the voices are finally being heard. But it's a lot, so pace yourself. And I really like Stitching the High Notes, Opera Joe. I like So Sweet Violet, who is Jules. I enjoy I think Nikki from Tea and Possibilities did one. I know Caroline from Dundernit, from Knitting Vicariously podcast, has done Vlogmas. Amy from Stranded, I believe Ellie from Skandir. Yeah, I guess those are kind of my go-tos, huh? Julie from Sweet Sparrow has done Vlogmas. So anyway, yeah, there's lots of really good ones. There's lots of really good ones out there. Yes. One last thing, there is a link down below. I did a massive destash of my yarn. I think I'm just trying to be more honest with myself about what I'm actually going to knit with versus like what I'm waiting around on. I tend to be the kind of person that I buy yarn for a project. I'm finding this out about myself. I like to collect yarn because it's pretty, but usually I want to knit a sweater, and so I buy what I want when I want it, and then everything else just kind of sits. And I have lots of delusions of grandeur of, oh, these colors will go together in this, or these colors will go together in that, but then I never make it. So I went through and did a really big destash. I could probably afford to go do it again, but all of those are on my Ravelry stash page under the Will Sell. Everything on there, all the information you need is on there. If you are interested in some new yarn for yourself, please feel free to check it out. And I think I'm about ready for a toe on this sock, so I am going to leave it there, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for a little while. Sorry I dropped you on the floor. And sorry that this is a little bit, this second half is a little bit weird. I was in a really good flow and I kind of just did it, and then I realized that part of it didn't record, so I'm not really sure what I did talk about and what I didn't, and I'm a little bit annoyed by that, to be honest with you. So, yeah. Be kind. Wear your mask. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Please continue to educate yourself. And yeah, go for it. Do good. I'll talk to you next time.